Hello and welcome everybody to today's webinar, Civil 3D 2018 New Features. My name is Tom Mullen. I am an EIT and Applications Engineer with CAD Technology Center. So today let's take an overview of what we're going to be looking at. First of all, here in 2018, we've got a lot of cool new design features geared at keeping your model more dynamic. Right? We're getting closer and closer to fully utilizing that full model workflow. We're not lines and text. We want a dynamic model that works efficiently for us. So to that end, Autodesk has incorporated several tools. We'll look at feature lines relative to a surface. So where you could pull elevations from a surface for your feature line in the past, you can now keep a dynamic link to a surface for elevations. And so you can pull the absolute surface elevation for a feature line or hold a relative vertical offset to that surface. So really handy for things like parking lot layouts and other site features. We've got offset profiles now. So where we've had offset alignments in the past, we can now attach a profile to that which will dynamically link to our centerline profile. Really good for different drainage intentions. You name it. It's nice to have that dynamically linked offset profile. Connected alignments, this is really neat, geared towards curb returns. So if you've ever worked with intersections or manually creating an intersection, you know you got to keep that tied to the main line, primary road, and secondary road for both alignment and profile. Now we can do that, taking advantage of both the offset and profiles and connected alignments. And we'll see how that works here in a minute. Now, where in 2017 we could pull out dynamic feature lines from a corridor, we can now take those dynamically linked feature lines on a corridor at, say, the edge of pavement or elsewhere, and use those as additional baselines in the same corridor. You can do that multiple times and sort of with multiple levels, and depending on your design situation, that can definitely help you streamline your workflow. Then lastly, for the design tools, we're going to look at corner cleanup. So in 2017, we came out with corner cleanup, or bow tie cleanup, you might know it, where we've got on an inside corner, our sub-assemblies are overlapping and just making a mess of both the corridor and the surface generated from the corridor. Those tools have been enhanced. We've got a lot of control, some ribbon buttons for that. We can be specifying where the cleanup area is. Just works a lot better, with a lot more applications for that here in 2018. We've also got some planned production tools added in. So for those of you that are creating a lot of section views, very few designers that I know have never gone in and added some notes, or maybe you need to put a little bit of line work in there because your section view is just not quite representing what you need, and you need to get it out the door. That's life, that happens. Then the problem is you go to update your section views or move them, and you lose track of all that line work, that manual note annotation that you've done. We can now have a section view drafting buffer that sort of locks all those things into your section view. So it can be really handy for you when it comes to planned production. And then lastly, on the planned production side, where we had plan-only sheets for things like exhibits or overall site view, or plan profile sheets, of course, we've now got options when we're creating view frames to have a plan over plan or profile over profile sheet. And we got new templates out of the box as well to handle that, or to modify for your own company. So we'll start out by looking at the design tools, feature line relative to a surface. Like I said earlier, that we're going to create a dynamic link to the surface, and we can hold that absolute or relative. We're going to take a look at a parking lot and retaining wall example here. So let's jump into the application. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got a building site, and over here is a parking lot, and we've got this feature line along the outside, and previously we've gone through and just daylighted from the edge of the parking lot out and saw that there was quite a bit of fill, and it might be more feasible to have a retaining wall in here. So we've got a parking lot surface, an FG surface for that, and like I said, this feature line along the outside. So if I want to link that to the surface, I just grab my feature line and come up to Elevation Editor. That's where we're going to find this. Take a look right here, relative to surface. This is new in 2018. I'm going to say relative to my FG parking lot surface. And then we've got a few columns in here. Elevation derived from, so absolute elevation. Right now it's just going to pull the elevation from the surface, which is represented over here. If I select, I can actually do this to several rows, select relative to surface, and I'm getting a little warning that one of the points was not on the surface exactly, so that's going to stay where it is. And then we come over to the relative elevation. So say we want to bring this retaining wall up above the parking lot surface a little bit. Just select these, maybe it's a foot above. And now so I've got that link to the surface. So now, like I said, I'm going to use this as a retaining wall example. So I'll make a little corridor based on this feature line. So let me just come up here, make a corridor. It knows I want to use the feature line since I've already selected it. Give that a relevant name, retaining wall. And creating the corridor, give that similar name, same name actually. Retaining wall will come down here, we're using the feature line, and we've already got that feature line selected. I've got an assembly, out of the box retaining wall assembly in here, and we're going to target for that the EG surface, just for the footing with the specified minimum fill over the footing. Okay, so that's built for us. Let's take a look at that so we can kind of see what's going on. Switch to a bird's eye view, and it'll make this a little bit easier to see. I'm going to turn off this EG surface right here. Okay, and I'll switch the view a little bit. Okay, and I'm actually going to grab my gizmo, which I rarely use, but in this case to demonstrate it's kind of nice. Okay, so we can see this feature line sitting a foot above the surface and the corridor built from it. I could grab that feature line, which I've already got the elevation editor right here, and let's say we wanted it 2 feet above the surface. Take a look in model space, see that rise up. If I come down and set my retaining wall to rebuild automatically, we can see that change for me. And you know, this is a parking lot, so part of the design workflow is you're going to be changing grades for drainage. So let's just say this thing came up and I'm just going to do a global raise and lower. Now keep an eye on the elevation editor here, which is representing the feature line, right? And my command line is asking me what do I want to add to the elevations. Let's just say I'm going up 1 foot. So keep an eye on this column right here. I'll add 1 foot to the surface now, and you can see that update for me. So that feature line is dynamically linked to the surface. Really nice for this situation. Curb islands works really nice. A lot of different ways you can take advantage of this. All right, next on the list here, we'll look at offset profiles. So again, we've got that offset alignment, and now we can have a profile linked to the parent alignment, which is going to be that centerline profile. Okay, we'll jump into that here. Offset profiles. So what we've got going on here, I've just got 2 split views. We've got this alignment running through here, some line work for what the corridor is going to represent eventually. But let's say right through this parking lot or parking lane area, we wanted to specify what's going on with the profile there. So right down here in the other view, I've got a profile view of the EG as well as the FG, the centerline profile. Okay, so if I want to use that offset profile, first I'm going to make an offset alignment. So create offset alignment based on this center line, and road B, that's my alignment, and I'll just leave it from start to end. I'm going to build on the right side here. I've got 900 and 1000 stationing right there, so this is on the right side, and I know that this is 16 feet over. Right here is the new tab for 2018, Create Offset Profile. So when this is checked, you're going to be making an offset profile for this offset alignment. Here it recognizes the profile for the center line, so that's what this is going to be tied to. You can pop this into this profile view down here, and we specify a typical cross slope, so I'll leave that at -2 for now. and maybe be a little bit more accurate about style. Okay, and you can see that come in down below in the profile view right here. And so again, if I update right here, I've selected the centerline parent alignment, parent profile actually. If I move that, you can see everything update for me. So we've got that dynamic link. Now in addition to that, if I select my offset alignment out here, right up here on the Launchpad or in the right click menu, we've got this offset profile properties. If I go to the offset parameters tab there, I can actually change or modify that 2% slope. So let's say right here, I'm going to specify this is -2 there, and maybe this changes slope right here to something more, -4. And maybe right here it goes also at -4, and then it's back up to -2. Enter. And you can see that tabularly here, and maybe I wanted to be exact about that. I could change that. I could be changing what the grades are here in tabular form as well. And when I apply this, watch that update in my profile view. So I've got that dynamic link still, but I can also come in here and be specific about different areas where I want that grade to change. So really nice tool there. Okay, next we're going to take a look at connected alignments. So this one is really nice for those of you that have done anything with setting up corridors. You typically will build your curb return, your lane off of that gutter flange or some piece of the curb, and so we need to get an alignment in there that's built off of both the main road and the secondary road alignment. Well, in the past that's been a static process. Your intersection tool could get that built for you, but it's still not linked necessarily to the offset edge of pavement alignments here. Well, now we do have that link. We've got the connected alignments, so we're going to have a dynamic link between these two main road and secondary road alignments, and also a link to their profiles. And we'll see how when this offset alignment has an offset profile based on this centerline profile, same in this case, then we can be manipulating the centerline profile and or alignment, and all the alignment, both the offset alignments, offset profiles, and connected alignments and profiles will all update automatically. So we can be moving all those pieces at one time. Okay, so let's jump into connected alignments. Okay, so right here I've got that area of interest. We've got our main road running through, and just some line work to represent that. So this is just a line at this point, an arc, and then a secondary road. And what we do have is we've got a centerline alignment and profile, which is this profile view right here. And then we've got a secondary road profile right here, and the offset alignments associated with them. So we're going to make our connected alignment for this curb return alignment right here. So we'll drop down from the alignments, create connected alignment, and I'm picking the first alignment and second where this is going to be tied to, and then I'm just picking the quadrant where this is going to be. So I'm in this area down to the southeast. Enter to accept that. And connected alignment name, you might want to be a little more specific. We've got road C and road D. Maybe it's road C, road D, curb return southeast, something specific there. Curve radius, I'm aware of the fact that this is correct for me. I've got this 10-foot overlap, so it's going to go 10 feet into the tangency areas for both the profile and the alignment. So that's key for working with that profile that we're going to make here in a second. And just like that offset profile, we've got that same tab in here when we're creating a connected alignment. Leave that toggled on. In this case, we've got that direct link to the two offset profiles, which again can be driven by the centerline profiles. Okay, so that was made for us. Right here we've got that alignment. Let's say I grab this center line, take a look at both the offset alignments here and the connected alignment. If I move this thing, you can see that flex right along with it. Okay. Now let me just make a profile view, and I'll put that profile that was made for it in, and we can see that change dynamically too. So create profile view, go to find, see what I call that. Got a million of them in here. So road C, road D, curb return southeast. Okay, create that. I'll pop it in right here. Okay, so this is the profile for that curb return alignment. And it's got, this is where it's tying in to tangency, and the same thing right here. And if you look, we're 1600, so we're right about here. If I grab this main road center line and I move this up, keep an eye on this profile view. So that drove a change to the offset profile and to this curb return profile. Same thing over here. In addition to that, what I can do is not only does it have a dynamic link, but it acts like a layout profile. So I have control over the geometry of it. So I can do things like add a PI in here and affect drainage through that curb return that way as well, all while maintaining that dynamic link right over here. So very nice for intersection design. Okay, the next thing we'll take a look at the multiple dynamic baselines. So we can extract that feature line, keep a dynamic link to the corridor, and then use that as a baseline in the same corridor. I can make design changes a lot easier to work with as opposed to building up a big monstrous assembly. Okay, so let's jump in. Multiple corridor baselines. Okay, we're going to focus in on this area right here where we had that offset profile earlier. We've got the parking lane. So we've just got a simple corridor running through this area. If I select that, right up on the contextual ribbon, I've got feature lines from corridor. This was in previous versions. If I select that feature line, hit enter, it's looking at all of the feature lines based on all the coding in that corridor. I just need the top one, just this guy right here. I'll extract that, and there it's selectable. I'll just come up here and add a baseline. I'm going to do a feature line. I can select that in the drawing. And let's say I give that a name. Whenever you use a feature line as a baseline in a corridor, it wants to be named. So edge of pavement works. Okay. And we'll come up and we'll add a region to that baseline. And let's just say we're going to go right through where this parking lane is. And I've got a parking assembly built out. It's just a simple lane on one side essentially. I really don't need to set any targeting for this guy. So there, that built out for me. So again, I'm building right off of that dynamically linked feature line another baseline. So if there was a change to this main line corridor, the change would then be driven to this additional region that I've added. So not only that, but I can come in and I can do that again on another level. So this is dynamically linked here. Let's extract this feature line from that one. Again, just pull out the one feature line, add a baseline, and I'm going to select this guy that I just extracted, give him a name, and we'll add a region to it. And let's just say I want to fill. I'll hit F for my mid-command entry, and I'm going to add a sidewalk onto the edge of that parking lane. Okay, so there I've got it. So you might say, well, I could have just split the region in this mainline corridor and then had another assembly with the parking lane and the sidewalk attached to it. That's true, but one of the nice things about this is, let's just say we decided our parking lane is a little bit smaller. Just grab that. Maybe the sidewalk's not through the whole parking lane, and it's just really quick design changes in that way without having to mess with a bigger assembly. So not the only use case, but just one use case for this is with the roadway and the parking lane like that. Really nice feature. So, and remember, these are all dynamically linked feature lines that we're building off of. Okay, the next one, I'm pretty excited about this corner cleanup that really works here in 2018, and you've got some control over it. We've got some buttons on the ribbon now, and in the past, in 2017 when this was first implemented, any baseline that had a curved subentity coming into it, it would not work. Corner cleanup would not work. Whenever you had a daylight coming off of your corridor, corner cleanup would not work. Both of those things are fixed here in 2018, so some really nice functionality. So let's take a look at how that looks. Alright, so we've got that same site we were working with earlier. Right here we've got a retaining wall corridor that we were working on. If you look in this inside corner, we've got a mess going on because of some bow ties happening. So to use corner cleanup, I can just select my corridor, come up to corridor tools. I've got clear corridor bow ties. My command line's asking me what's the starting subentity. So what the baseline is what it's talking about. So this guy, and the second one is this guy. And where's the intersection point? So this is what's going to pull out the location and elevation of where we want this to be cleaned up to. So I'll use my intersection snap and go right there. Enter, boom, that's cleaned up. If I come over and maybe I can apply that one more time, go with this guy. And let's just say, now take a look, I'm not going to use snapping when I do this. I'm just going to pick right there. And notice how that built out further, where the corridor wasn't actually built before. So you do want to be careful about that, but what we can do, if that's the case, I can restore corridor bow ties. And this might also be used not only for like a mistake like that, but if you had a change to your baseline and there may not be a corridor bow tie anymore, you could remove that. So it's asking me to if I want to restore this one, I'll hit S for skip and just move down the line, and I'll restore that one instead. Okay, again, we can use this for things like curved subentities. So clear corridor bow ties, let me pick this guy and this other linear segment, and the intersection right there cleans it up for me really nicely. Take a look at that. You can see a really nice smooth corridor now for us. So really cool tools for corridor bow tie cleanup. Alright, so now we're going to jump into the plan production tools. We've got section view drafting buffer. So like I said, this is for when you're going in there on your section views and you're putting some notes, some text, line work, whatever it is. We've got a case of a revision cloud here. In the past, you put those in place and maybe you update section view layout if you've got additional sample lines, or you just moved some sections around, you moved your layout, your template, whatever it is. And then all that manual text, those base AutoCAD entities are just left behind and potentially lost track of. Now we've got this section view drafting buffer that keeps those things in place for us. So we're always trying to move away from just lines and text, but there are instances where you still need to use that just to convey your design intentions. So let's take a look at how that works. Section view updates, here we go. So I've got this road right here. I've got several sample lines in there and sections created. I just need to display the section views, so I'll come up here, create multiple views. This is road C going through there. And I'm going to do the whole range. Go to next, and I got a 20 scale, that'll work. Okay, this group plot style, this is where we're going to control whether or not we're getting that section view drafting buffer. So I'll take a look at how that's built up. Over on the array tab, we've got this additional thing down here. Boom, just toggle this on and off, add drafting buffer. Okay, so if that's checked, you're going to get the drafting buffer in place. Alright, so that'll be good. Create section views. Hit the lower left corner. Alright, so those are in place. Now I've got some pre-baked stuff over here. I'm just going to move this over. So all this is it's an M leader. Show you in the properties palette there. It's just an M leader, polyline revision cloud, and a piece of text. Okay, if I select this border around my section view, See, I have these grips here. These are for the section view drafting buffer. Okay, so everything inside that drafting buffer is going to move along with my section view. So if I move the whole section view, notice all of those manual notation elements move with it. Maybe I wanted this outside of the section view. If I grab this and move it, notice that that didn't move along with it. Okay, what I can do is I can just extend my drafting view out a little bit, place this where it needs to be, and now if I move it, that can move with me. And this thing can be on a no plot layer, so you're not worried about the shape of that thing. Okay, then there's the situation where, just to show where this could be more useful, let's say I had to add an additional sample line in here, an additional section. So let me just place a new sample line, some specific area you needed to see. We'll say it's right there, 50 feet on each side, that's fine, enter. And I put this guy in, this 325.13. So I'll just add that single section view. And 325.13. Okay, there it is. And it's going to come in right between 300 and 350, right? So let's just say I had some line work in here, whatever it is, you know, and I wanted that to move just like that, but I need to place this into that same section view group. So I'll just select that thing, move to section view group, and we'll see it update. Okay, boom, see that thing got shuffled out of the way, that 350, and the line work went right with it. So section view drafting buffer, keep your lines, notes, and manual work in place whenever you're inside that drafting buffer. Okay, the last tool that we're going to look at today is this plan production enhancement, or view frame options. So what we've got in the past, like I said earlier, we had the plan only option where we've got one full plan view, or plan and profile. And we've got a lot of people, you know, you can go in and you can manually create this after the fact, but it's not going to build view frames automatically for you in the same way you can do with a plan only or plan and profile view. Well, in 2018, now that is incorporated into the view frame options, so we can have that automated sheet creation for a plan over plan or profile over profile view. And of course, they've shipped some new templates to make that happen for you that have those viewports set up as well. All right, so let's take a quick look at what that looks like in the application. The same area here, this road C, we're going to cut some sheets for that. So let's go up to the Output tab, we'll go Create View Frames, and I'm on road C. Here's what looks different in 2018. We've got the plan and profile still, of course. Plans only and profiles only now are our options. So you might say, well, I still want to be able to do just a single plan. Well, you can do that. All you need to do is make sure that you pick a template that has only one profile view. Now, if you want the plan over plan, we want to be specific about which template we're using. So we'll make sure that we are using the plan over plan template, or your company's version of that. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second after we create the sheets. All right, so plan over plan, do 20 scale. Okay, and everything else will work fine. Create view frames, and so I've got those in place right there. And now let's cut some sheets for it. And just that one view frame group, that's fine. And I'll add that to a new sheet set. Saves the drawing as usual. Okay. Let's come down and take a look at the sheet that was made for us. Right there, you've got it. So you've got station 0 here to 575 or so, and station, sub 600. The rest of the alignment is shown here on that sheet, and then we can come over to sheet 2, of course, and see the rest of it. Now, the way this works, if you're familiar with viewport types, if I select this, it's a viewport type plan, and now we've got viewport order. So that's what determines, if you're setting this up, that you need to set this one to be the will include the lower stationing essentially. And down here, this is viewport order 2, right? Okay, so you can have multiple viewports in there showing your plan view. Right, and we'll quick take a look at the profile version of that. So come up and create view frames for profile over profile. Do the same assembly. And again, just make sure that you're picking the right template. And there are out-of-the-box versions for us to use, profile over profile right there. Again, those viewports are set up similarly to the way that the plan over plan viewports were set. Create view frames. Let's cut some sheets from those. That's number 2, and we'll add it to the current drawing. Create sheets. Okay. And we got to place the profile views in this case because we are creating profile sheets. And we'll come down to sheet 3. It was just 2 profile views, right? So we only needed 1 sheet to accommodate those. Dismiss that, and there we go. So we've got our profile over profile again. If I select this, it's just that viewport order that determines which profile goes where. A little bit of overlap with the previous profile view, just how they're arranged in model space. Easily taken care of with the viewport resizing. Okay, so that wraps it up for the new features. Let's just do a little recap. So essentially we've got a lot of cool new design features aimed at keeping your models more dynamic. Right, we want everything to communicate. We want all of our alignments to talk. We want all the profiles linked so that when we go through, it's not a tedious, error-prone process of going through and making sure everything still lines up. Everything's a lot more linked here with things like offset profiles and connected alignments, corridor baselines, dynamic feature lines extracted from a corridor baseline, and then of course the bow tie cleanup is greatly enhanced from 2017. And let's not forget, we've got some cool new features with plan production. We got the section view drafting buffer, and if you're interested in going with the plan over plan, profile over profile type sheets, you don't have to set that up manually. You can take the advantage of the view frame options. Just make sure you're using the correct template or set one up for your company.